Poppin', we got none other than Trent Out Loud in the bubble zone. What's good, my brother?
What's up? What's up?
Oh man, nothing. Grateful for you being here.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, everybody out there, you all are in for a treat. This man is so inspiring. He went from $3.52 in the put in the bank to having what $100 million worth. I need some air horn. Oh man, I am so glad I met you. Trent, what is going on, brother?
Yeah, I'm so glad I met you too. It was my first time in Atlanta. Shout out to Charlemagne and the whole crew, Black Effect iHeartRadio Podcast Festival. And this is exactly the reason why I went down, like to meet people like you. We hooked up, networking, you know what I mean? So it was good and I'm happy to be on your podcast.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I
Mm,
want to congratulate you on the release of your books.
thank
You wrote
you.
not one, not two, but you have three books. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. And I must say, I went on the journey with you. It was incredible. I was
Oh,
on
you
the edge
liked
of
it.
my seat.
Good, good, good. That's the whole point of it. I wanted to make the reader feel like I'm right beside them, speaking with them, and not just reading a book and feel like the disconnect. I wanted to feel connected, not disconnected. You know what I mean?
Mission accomplished.
Thank
Listen,
you.
and the mother in me, oh my gosh, listen, I was screaming, no, Trent, don't. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah, 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 yeah.
Trent.
A lot of moms tell me that. Like I wrote the book for like younger generation, like the next generation of entrepreneurs that are coming up. But a lot of moms that get their hands on the book end up like loving the book more than the kids even. I don't know why, but I didn't. Yeah, maybe like you said, maybe you see you see
There.
me. I was gonna say the character, kind of like making these mistakes, and the mom just sees that, so you feel more connected to the character. I get it.
Yes, yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we will definitely get into the book. I want to talk to you about, so you had not just a business journey that was interesting, you have a creative side.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is very interesting to me. You were in the music business, a model, and the one thing that tickled me was, can you share with everybody your story of what made you become a model or try to model?
um, well, the inspiration behind it was Alicia Keys. I met Alicia Keys, backstage at a concert when I was in the music industry. And during our meet and greet, when I hugged her and she was giving me like her autograph, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm hugging a model." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Oh, I thought you were a model." I was like, "No." And what makes you think that? Anyways, so I went back and I was like bragging to my boys, like, "Yo, Alicia Keys thinks I'm a model." And the next day, I just Googled top 10 modeling agencies in Montreal, and I got into modeling, and it ended up being, ended up being like an 8, 9 year career. It was an international model signed to 8 or 9 different agencies. But not only was Alicia Keys my inspiration, but I always like you said, I'm a creative at heart. For sure, I have, successful businesses and multiple businesses, but at the core of me, I feel like I'm a creative, and modeling was just a way for me to let out my creative side. So that's really the real inspiration. Alicia Keys was just like the cherry on top, she gave me the push to make me feel like I could do it.
That's so dope. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Alicia Keys made me think I was a model, so I modeled. But the fact that you just woke up the next day and said, "Let me
Yeah.
Google," and then it happened, that
Yeah.
is phenomenal. Like, that is not everybody's story. That is
Yeah.
so exciting. Oh my
Thank you.
goodness.
Thank you.
That is great. So you have the most funny sense of petty. Oh man.
Yo, my petty is next level.
Next
Mm.
level. I said, I read in the book, y'all. You got to check the book out. She said, I'm like 50 Cent level.
Yeah. I didn't know if you
That,
caught that part exactly. I'm 50 Cent
I
level
did.
petty, man.
That is petty. That boy will go, yeah, 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 yeah. I love it. I love it. I love what you did, your story of redemption.
Thank you.
When you got the petty with the purse where you hit him in the purse. Oh, I was like, yes, yes. Listen, I'm going to be dropping teasers all day. I'm not even telling you. You guys
Perfect.
have to get this book. I'm telling you. And it's an easy read. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
exactly.
It was so, so dope.
Mhm.
So one other thing that you said, that you were dropping bars left and right. And you said karma is a full-on relentless asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you tell me about some times that in the one story I just referenced is probably one of them. Sometimes where you saw karma in action, either against you, where it worked against you, or for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, there's a couple of instances during the book where I feel like karma is coming back, and I feel more like karma is more back to the people that are out there trying to hold me down, you know. But for me, I always try to make sure like I just live my life just as positive and as honest as possible, and always thinking about karma. That's why I made sure to put that in the book, because people don't realize that, like, yeah, karma's a bitch, but like, no, man, like karma could like ruin your whole life. You know what I mean? Like karma could ruin your whole business. Like karma could ruin everything that you're planning to do. So, you know, it's as small as like, you know, when I'm at the grocery store, if the cashier doesn't pass a bag of chips and I notice it, I make sure to tell her to pass the bag of chips, because I don't want that $5. You know what I mean? Like I feel if you steal $5 or you knowingly like fraud somebody for $5, you're gonna lose $15. So I just try to just live my life as free and as honest as possible so that I can have good karma.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. So, did you start the fire?
Did I what?
Did you start the fire?
I cannot confirm or deny that. What do you think?
If you don't say, I won't say. No evil here, no evil, speak no evil. I had to ask, but yeah. Okay. Funny stories, man. Oh man. So you come from a very strong line of West Indian women.
Yes.
And your grandmother's coming here.
Yes.
I learned something amazing that I never knew.
Right.
How the government of Canada went to Jamaica to bring women up there for service. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, that was called the domestic, I think it's the International Domestic Scheme Program. So my mom on my mother's side applied for it. And basically, some people don't like when I say this, but it's like pretty much modern day slavery, but not, my sister doesn't like when I say that, because it's like slavery was not voluntary, and my grandmother voluntarily came up. So, but basically what it was, the thing that pisses me off about it is that they violated her civic duties, like her human rights, I felt were violated. And I feel like, I can't speak for all the women in that program, but from what my grandmother was telling me is that, you know, they weren't respected. They weren't, you know, there was not a lot of regulations. But that's why you have so many West Indians up in Canada. And that's because of these programs that the West Indies and the Canadian government, you know, put together to bring help here for some of these, you know, white families. And like I said, for me, I feel like it was a backdoor way of, you know, modern day slavery. But my grandmother came up here. She did her work. You know, she was put into a closet to sleep. She wasn't given a proper bedroom. She wasn't given proper food, but she saved her money. You know, she swallowed her pride. My grandmother always said, you need to kiss ass before you can kick ass. And that always resonated with me, you know? So that's why when you say that, like, I know we joke like, oh, Alicia Keys says you could be a model. Like, we live up here in Canada. Like, we have, or you live in the US, like we have opportunities that my grandmother can only dream of having, you know? There was a saying where it's like we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, you know? So for me to just say like, I want to pick up one day and be a model, like she had to come up here and slave and don't have proper food and proper a roof over, she had a roof over her head, but not like proper living conditions. But she was able to bring up 6 people from Jamaica, which is including my mom and my aunt. The reason why I have my opportunity. So I'm happy for the Canadian government giving my grandmother that opportunity, but I'm also really upset at of it not being properly regulated.
Yes. But she was strong. She spoke up for herself, and
Yep.
she left that wicked family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She stayed there, I think it was a year or 2 years, and after her probation was up, she went out back to the government and was like, look, this is not right, that is not right. And everybody was like, what are you doing? Don't say anything. But she was able to get out of that house. And she didn't get back into a house that fully respected her, but it was much better. And then she finally, got out the program and got a job and, went on to live a happy life here in Canada.
That's wonderful.
Mm.
Wonderful. Just another reminder, speak up for yourself. We
Yep.
don't live in those conditions that she suffered back in the 50s and 60s. So
Mm.
speak up for yourself.
Exactly.
We don't have to suffer in silence.
Yeah. Facts.
So I found that very inspirational, to come to a whole other country.
Yeah.
And something else interesting I learned about your government.
Okay.
They in Quebec, you have to speak French or you
Mhm.
can't get some jobs. That is
You
crazy.
you can't get a job, period.
Uh,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
United States, hello, United
Yeah.
States. They require you to speak the language of their land.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I applaud it.
Okay.
There are so many resources here in the United States that get diverted to English as a second language programs because people come here and they can't speak the language. And so
Yeah.
we just accommodate and coddle them. Man, come on. You want to be here? Figure it out. I'm sorry.
So I understand, but it does really hurt immigration. It hurts our bottom line. There's a lot of opportunities that Quebecers could have if they didn't have such strict language laws. But like you said, I understand, like if this was, Jamaica and we had a Jamaican language and, I'd understand if you come to Jamaica, we would want you to speak the language. But I feel like there's a way that they could kind of mix it where you can accept both and not be so stringent on it. But I
Yeah,
get what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
just like language police and stuff, like you get arrested and you get fined for some of these
No.
things. Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to go that far with
Oh
it,
no, 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 no. Definitely not that far. That's a little bit much.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, language police. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, in the United States, we are spoiled. I never would have imagined language police like you really get arrested or can't get any job
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
not
You have
speaking
to,
the language.
and where you work at, you have to, if you answer the phone, you have to answer the phone in French first and then in English. Like, bonjour, comment ça va? Hi, how are you? If not, you get fined. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Learn something new every day. All
Exactly.
right. Wow. So now I want to talk about your journey in starting your store.
Okay.
You were volunteering and you were first of all, were you living in the attic at the time when you met Victor and you were working at the Y?
Was that what? No, I was not living in the attic at the time. I had just got out of living in the attic, actually.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you were doing something well enough that this young man kept kind of coming to you and coming to you.
Yeah.
And tell us about that story with young Victor, please.
So that's the part in the story when I had kind of just had gotten into cars and I was like in and out of things and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And but I was known at the YMCA as like I was volunteering in basketball, but I was known as like the young eager entrepreneur at that time. So Victor came up and he was like, look, I know you're selling cars and I know you're like, have a couple little businesses on the side, but I really want to talk to you about selling long tees and do-rags. And I was like, man, listen, I'm not selling no damn t-shirts and, do-rags. I want to sell like automobiles. Like I thought it was this, stupid idea. So I'm like, yo, just go back out on the court. But he kept pestering me. I was like, I'm telling you, I have a really good idea. Like I go down to Plattsburgh, which is like, it's New York State, but it's right at the top, like trying to give people like, I don't know, it's near Albany. So it's a half an hour, 45-minute drive for us here in Montreal. And he's like, yeah, I go down there and I buy long tees and I buy it for like $5-6 and I sell it up here for, $15. So I heard those kind of margins and I was like, what? And then all the kids that were playing basketball was like, yeah, we can't get it from Foot Locker. We can't get it from anywhere. Nobody has it up here. So I was like, all right, okay, cool. Like I'm going to lend you, $1,000 and I'll see what you could do with it. And then he came back in a couple of weeks and he's like, yo, here's 2,000. I don't remember the exact amount, but here's like $2,500. And he didn't even take any of the profit. He just wanted to show me, how much of a good business it was. So from there, I sat down with him. We put together kind of a little business concept, a little business idea. We drove down to actually New York City now to Manhattan to find a source. Make a long story short, I ended up finding long tees for $2 and color ones for $2.50, do rags for 30 cents. And I had a little business up here where I had a sales rep in every high school. I gave them free long tees and do rags, and they would bring their friends out during recess or school or after school. And my gosh, I was moving about, I don't know, 400 or 500 t-shirts a day, metro stations. Like I was just driving down to New York, coming back with thousands of t-shirts and do-rags. And that's how Exclucity was born.
Wow.
Yeah. From the trunk of my car to $100 million business. Yes.
Mm.
Of course, we went away from long tees to shoes and whatever. You get the book, but it's just, that's where it
Yes.
started. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that throughout your journey, you recognized when to pivot and you did it.
Exactly. Exactly.
That was great. You had a lot of foresight. And you even expanded. So really, what was going through your mind when you trusted Victor with the store, man?
Yeah, well, and that was just like me, and like I talked about in the book, is like having different revenue streams. Like I never just wanted to have one business, and the key to having multiple businesses or multiple revenue streams is a good staff, right? You have to have good managers, you have to have good, and that time we didn't have those kind of positions, but your operations officer, right? Your COO, these people are the people who you have to have and trust. But at that time, Victor was like 16 years old, so. But I was also young at the time too, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to have him here. I'm going to go to Toronto and do this. I'm going to have this person do that. And then it just ended up being a full-on disaster. But, leaving a kid, in charge of a store in the basement was just not smart. But I realized that later on.
Like Home Alone with a
Yeah,
retail version.
exactly. Making a bunch of cash, like, girls coming around, people smoking weed. Like it was horrible, man.
You survived. And have
Yeah.
you spoken to Victor since
No.
the
I actually thought when the book came out that somebody in Montreal would get him a copy and he would reach out. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he has seen it, just doesn't want to reach out, or I really have no idea, to be honest with you. But no, I haven't spoken with him.
Okay.
He does know of the success of the store, though. That I know for sure.
I'm sure he'd have to.
Yeah.
If he's still in the area, I'm sure he has to.
Yeah, for sure.
That's interesting. So something that wasn't even your passion, your idea initially, became your life's work. The bulk of your success came from an idea. Well, see, one thing led to another. That's something important that I took from that. You were volunteering coaching.
Yeah.
And a kid planted a seed and you were able to fertilize and cultivate that and now reap the harvest. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I think, that was a bar. That was good. I just think that what a lot of people don't realize, and I think you realize it once you start reading the book, but first of all, nothing happens overnight. Everything is there's always a journey. But it's not that I was ever in love with, long tees and do-rags. That wasn't my passion. And then when we started getting into hats and, lids started trying to come for us and whatever, and people thought we were the big hat store. It wasn't hats that I was into. And then the ultimate success was a sneaker boutique and having 10 stores across Canada. Everyone's like, people introduce me as like Trent Out Loud, this sneakerhead of all sneakerheads, or the sneaker king. Like, I never loved the product. What I love is business. That is what I love. I have a passion for taking something like this microphone and it costs $5 and selling it to you, the customer, for $10. And not only selling it to you for $10, but having you happy to buy it from me for $10 and not buy it from one of my competitors, and then feel connected that you want to come back and get the wire and come back and get the stand. And that nuance of business is what I love. So it doesn't matter the product. I love the connecting with the customer and building a brand and building an experience. That's the passion.
That's the word I was looking for, experience. I've read about your launches and man, some of the things that you do when a store opens, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
Get the book, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
How sneakers saved my life.
Exactly.
All right. So tell me about your love story with hip hop.
Okay. Um, well, it's not just hip hop, but I love music. Music is my first love. Like that was my first business. I tried to start a music management company. And I think that was maybe why it didn't work. I think that's the only thing that I ever tried that I absolutely love. Like I love music and just hip hop in general. It gets a little bit broader than music. Of course, reggae does too, and so does R&B. I mean, they're all from the same family, but hip hop just has such a huge culture behind just the rap and the beat and the DJ, and I think it's kind of been like the foundation of who Trent is. And I feel like everything that I do, I always run through the lens of hip hop. Like I always try to find my answer in the hip hop culture because it's just what I know, and it's what's brought me everything that I am and who I am. So that's what like I just feel like a connection to it, and I feel like I wouldn't have the success that I have if it weren't for hip hop culture.
Awesome. One lesson I want people to find in that is, hey, you don't have to be a 40-year-old rapper to be connected to hip hop. You can
At
build
all.
you can build a $100 million company being associated with the culture, being ingrained in the culture. A lot of people think so linear,
Yeah.
and you took something that was a part of your fabric, and like your connection to the video was the white tees.
Yeah, exactly.
That you capitalize on that trend.
Yeah, for sure.
So many people miss that because all they can do is see straight ahead. They can't see there's a whole field of view here. So I
I
love
see what
that.
you're saying.
I
Yeah, I
love that.
mean, I can't. The thing with me is like when people say stuff like that, I'm like, wow, I didn't think about that because I can only think how Trent thinks. I can't think about how somebody else thinks. That's why I was trying to write a how to. The book started out as a how to book, but I have a problem telling or teaching people because I don't understand how people could just think linear like that. I always think this big and I always think everything around me. So it's hard for me to get into the mind. That's why my book just ended up being an autobiography and I just tell you my story and you take from it what you want. But 100,000%, you're 100% right that like I never look at things through a tiny lens, especially hip hop. Like hip hop is graffiti, hip hop is dance, hip hop is sneakers, hip hop is fashion. You know what I mean? So for me to
Right.
have a sneaker boutique, that for me to be an owner of a sneaker boutique, that is just as hip hop as me being a DJ or just as hip hop as me being a rapper. It's the exact same
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. And you built the fastest growing
Yes.
sneaker boutique in the whole country.
Yeah, I was
Like,
the fastest growing Nike. I was the fastest growing regional Nike account in Canadian history. Yeah.
let that break.
Yeah, fact.
Man, man,
Yeah.
man. This is awesome. Like, so you now have, you said 10 stores?
So I can't spoil it for you because now you got to get into book two. So
Okay.
there's some changes I'm making with the stores, but you'll have to have me on for part two and we'll talk about that.
Oh, that's a
Well, we're
definite.
making some big transitions right now.
Okay. 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 And you went through a journey with your team. Is Peaches still around?
Nope.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tough,
Okay.
right? And
She
same thing with Steve Jobs and whatever his other co-founder was, something Browski, can't remember what his name was, but yeah, that's kind of like sometimes the unfortunate thing with business. I mean, I myself am the founder and CEO, but I've had like it started out with Victor, and then there was Peaches, and as you get into the other books, I always have like really great um, operation managers with me, really good people that feel like Exclucity is their brand too, and they're part of it, that they're just not there for a paycheck. And that's why I was able to have this company and do a bunch of other things, but unfortunately, they're not family, and sometimes people leave and go on and do other things. Sometimes they do things and you have to let them go. You have to move on. But just because we don't talk and just because they're not around doesn't mean that I'm still not forever, grateful for everything they've done for myself and the brand.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Now you did a lot of modeling. How long were you in South Africa?
South Africa, I did 2 stints there, 6 months each, so like a year.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I stayed
And
there a little longer than I should have because I really enjoyed myself. They were like, yo, you want to come back? I'm like, no, I'm good.
so what's the deal with that? For those of us not associated with the modeling world, why is that the entry point?
Well, it's really, I don't know if I
Like,
even mentioned this in the book. There's a lot of things I had in the book and I had to take out just for the sake of the story, but that's a good question. Um, for Black models, going to South Africa, is literally like, a white model going to New York City. So I have so many more opportunities being a Black model out there than I would even, for example, especially like in Canada, right? Where if they're looking for 10 models, there's probably 8 white, 1 Indian, and 1 Black. But in South Africa, they'll look for 10 Black models, right? And then the other side to it is the truth of what we know is that there's colorism in there too, right? So a light-skinned Black model, a dark-skinned Black model. So just there's opportunities, for different shades of Black models out there. Where in the U.S. there might be a little less. So it's a real good opportunity for Black and ethnic models where you can really build up your book and build up your experience.
nice, nice. But you did end up transitioning back and getting the gigs in New York City, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Even
Awesome.
even without like all of my stuff, like I won't spoil that part in the book, but yeah, I still got a lot of no's after coming back from South Africa for a year.
Yeah, but you are definitely relentless. I've I'm telling you, I went on this journey with you, man. I'm like, oh, and wait a minute, I wrote this down. Never let your circumstances become your excuses.
Woo!
That's
That's
a
a
bar.
bar. That's a bar.
That's
That's
a
a bar.
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 Like,
Oh, by the way, you just said about how hip hop is not just linear. Me writing a book, yo, that's hip hop. I'm dropping bars in my books.
bars on bars on bars.
There's bars in my books, right? Like you listen to a Jay-Z album, he's dropping bars, I'm dropping bars in my book. So you could be an author and still be very, very hip hop.
Yes, 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 yes. And I like that so many more especially young Black people are writing and reading.
Yeah,
They're doing more things. It's like
yeah,
really cool to be smart and really
exactly.
to be accomplished now.
Yeah,
Like, but you did go on a journey for a while where you were kind of attracted to the dark side.
for sure, for sure. And again, those are things too that are a part of me that, I learned a lot of lessons leaving my house at a young age. Coming from a, troubled, family of, there's some verbal and physical abuse. I just wanted to get out the house. That led me to what most kids do. You go into the streets, you're hustling, you're trying to make money, trying to make ends meet. You do stupid stuff. I got arrested a couple of times. But I adapted quickly and I knew that like, okay, this is not going to be my life where I'm in and out of jail and getting arrested. And, for me, I only finished high school and I was like, okay, how am I going to, navigate my way through this business world? And I started reading books. I started reading business books. So for me, the title of the book is How Sneakers Saved My Life, because that is the business that brought me to $100 million in sales. But really, it's how business saved my life, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, but I would not have had the success that I had in business had I not had the experience of, some of the things I was getting in trouble doing.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So for anybody aspiring to like open a retail store,
Mhm.
can you explain to people what the process of getting those products in? Because it's not just like I'm going to open this store and yes, I'm going to carry Nike and all that. Can you tell us how that works?
Um, Again, that's what's a little bit hard about this. So I would not encourage that right now. Retail is like dying and changing rapidly. So anyways, I'm transitioning everything to being online. Let's let the cat out the bag. But getting the contracts and getting the accounts from Nike and Adidas, or whether it be Levi's or whatever accounts or whatever business that you want to sell in, I always tried to, of course I asked and they would say no, but I always tried to make them need me more than I needed them. And when Nike was, sent a sales rep out here to Montreal, and they were actively trying to grow the market, I had already had 4 or 5 years in the business. And if you asked anybody in Montreal, they knew Trent from, selling long tees, selling do-rags, selling grills, selling watches, selling whatever. So, a lot of people think like, I'm going to open up a store and I'm going to get this account, get that account. Like, you got to prove that you have the foundation. You got to prove that you have the base. You got to prove that you have the clientele before someone's going to come to you. Right. So you got to go through the bullshit.
Yeah. So just know, ladies and gentlemen, that when you want to start a business that sells other people's products, you have to meet their requirements, not just, oh, I have the money to buy it. You have to
Exactly.
meet
They don't need your money. They're a $30 billion company. Your money is like irrelevant to them.
That's important to know. What is your what would you say is your biggest lesson, if you could narrow down to a biggest lesson throughout your journey?
Oh, I love this because people always ask this, like, what's your lesson for, listeners or whatever. And I have a new answer for that. And I want people to really listen to it, because the first word is sacrifice. Like, you need to be able to sacrifice. That's my biggest lesson. But I've learned to drill down and explain what real sacrifice is. Like, when you say, oh, I've learned that you got to sacrifice to be successful, people think, okay, sure, I get it. I'm going to have to work 18 hours a day. I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to hustle. I'm going to have to work hard. I have to do this, whatever. What sacrifice means, and what I mean by sacrifice, is that you have to sacrifice like relationships. You have to sacrifice friendships. You have to sacrifice the club. You have to sacrifice years of your life, like years of your life. So I don't know if people are willing to make those kind of sacrifices, because working from 8 hours or 12 hours or 16 hours, like, that's okay. But are you willing to sacrifice friendships? Are you willing to sacrifice your boyfriend or your girlfriend? Are you willing to sacrifice years of your life to be successful? And when you can answer that question honestly with yourself, then you should try business or try to do whatever it is that you feel like you want to make the sacrifice for.
Yes, for sure. I get it all the time. People like, but you got to live. This is what I live for. I'm building something that I want my grandbabies to, if it comes to it and they need it, I want to be able to write a check for college tuition. I want to be able to take them around the world, give them experiences and not just stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, look, I say that, but I made some mistakes. I talk about it in book 2, where I went completely overboard and I lost a lot of myself. But I still know that it's one of the main reasons for my success. And you have to have a work-life balance, but in the beginning, it's got to be a work balance.
For sure, for sure. That's good stuff. So, are you dating yet again?
Nope, I am still very much single. Wait till you get to book 2. You're going to find out the details of that.
Oh, shut. Lady.
Holla at me.
Oh, he's good looking. He's successful. He's a family man. This man loves his mom, his grandma. Yep. Listen, ladies.
Trent Out Loud on all social media platforms. DM me. Holla at your boy.
I have some amazing, very beautiful friends.
Send me their Instas, man. Send me the number. Send me the digits.
Okay. I sure will. Look at this. See, blowing bubbles, and I want to be godmom. If you come down,
no problem.
I want to make sure that I show the book.
Thank you.
Saved my life. This is book 1, and this is book 2. How sneakers ruined my life. Make sure you guys go out and get the book. Listen, book 1. I'm only on page 24 of the second book. So He's gonna come back, and we're gonna talk about book 2 because
Exactly.
this one had me on the edge of my seat. It is a very good read. I literally like couldn't stop reading. I would fall asleep with this thing. Like, oh my goodness.
I
So
love to hear that.
it's so dope. Like you wrote it, the way it's written, you all, it takes you on a journey. Like you're there. I can see him. Man, there's this scene where you're running through the park. I can see you running through the park. I'm like, go to your auntie's house. Go to your
Yeah, that's the best feedback. I love. Of course, I like when people like the book but when people are like, "Yo, I feel like I'm watching a movie. I feel like I can picture and see everything." That's what I love.
Yes, everything, bruh. Your disguises and the other story, you know. Listen, I'm going to continue to tease you guys because you have to get the book.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to keep dropping inside jokes. You guys,
yeah, exactly, right?
Man, like you did so many things.
Yeah.
But one thing that you were really candid. You said your highs were very high and your lows were very low.
Yes.
And one portion after you have started to really gain a lot of traction, you're really getting successful, you're expanding across Canada, and you realized you're not taking care of Trent. Have you found a solid self-care routine?
Yeah, and it starts and ends with therapy. And that's what a lot of book 2 is about. And that's how sneakers ruined my life. And I have found a good balance of therapy. But the greatest thing that my therapist taught me is that he wants me to be my own therapist. So you can't just like only just go and rely. Like I'll talk to people. I'm like, you got to go to therapy. They're like, I don't like my therapist. I don't like this. And he makes you do that. Like you got to do the work every week or every other week when I go to therapy. He gives me something to do. He gives me homework and I got to work on myself. Like I had to work on being comfortable, being bored. Because sometimes not being bored my dad always says that the devil finds work for idle hands.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, yo, Trent, you got to just sit down and like, just sit down in your, by yourself, like sit still for a little bit, you know? So things like that. Am I always perfect with it? No, because I'm a very, overly ambitious and over eager, relentless person that just wants the world and everything in it. But my care routine is, like one day a week on Wednesday. It's my off day from the gym. I try not to work out. I try not to take too many emails, and I just spend that time with me. I go out and I have ramen by myself, and I just stay and I have a Trent day, and on the weekends I always try to be with my family, friends, and partying or whatever. But I have a much better handle on it now than I did before.
Wonderful. Ramen though.
Yeah. Yeah. I love ramen.
I've never had that in my life.
Really?
Not once.
There was a ramen shop that just opened up in Toronto. It was nearby the store and I'd never had it either. And I'm like, oh, let me try it. Literally one of my favorite meals. It's so good. It's so good.
I remember when my youngest child he was like a sophomore or junior in high school. He's like, Mom, how come you never buy us noodles? I'm like, dude, I cook every day. I was a caterer and had a restaurant at that time. Like,
really?
Cook. What are you talking? He's like, but sometimes I just want some noodles.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I think they were like 15 cents a pack at the time. Like, all right, I'll go buy a case for you.
You know, this ramen is not like ramen noodles ramen, right?
No, it's not.
No.
I mean, it isn't. Oh,
no,
okay.
It's like the authentic real ramen. It's like $20 a bowl. Yeah, exactly. It's not ramen noodles. I think that's probably where like obviously it came from and there's like a package like quick thing, but no, this is like real ramen in a big huge bowl, spicy pork, and you have like a spicy egg or whatever. Anybody who's out there that knows ramen, they know what's up. Like trust me, it's next level.
I think there's a ramen shop down by Georgia Tech.
Okay, try it out.
I'll try.
You got to make sure it's authentic. It's got to be. I don't know where it started. Is if it's Korean or if it's Japanese. I'm not too sure. But yeah, anyways, it's one of my favorite meals. But more importantly, it's not the meal. It's me just going out eating by myself. Just treating myself to something, but being with me and being still.
Awesome. Awesome. That's so important because you could burn out.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So you said, okay, let me go back to love the young, dumb, and ignorant chapter. That was
Yep. One of my favorites too.
and so do you still drive crazy?
I do. Not as bad as I used to. But yeah, I have a sports car and yeah, I've been known to push it a little bit.
Dang. Okay. Okay. Well, we're gonna keep you covered in prayer.
Yeah, thank you.
One thing that you did talk about in that section, you said you had enough presence of mind to say, I want to one day be able to walk into a bank and my name command respect. Young men and women, if you don't understand how protecting your name is so very important.
Yeah.
That right there, even in the height of your foolery,
Yeah,
you were doing
exactly.
the most goofiness, but you still came to like, hey, you know what? I might need my name one day.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm not mistaken, I think I said I wanted my name to be more powerful than any gun could ever be.
You did that.
Yeah, and it's because I was getting
Or
arrested. I had a gun charge. People were this and robbing whatever, blah blah. And it's like, just imagine how much more powerful or how amazing it could be that your signature is more powerful than any weapon. That's power to me. That's gangster to me. That's hip hop to me. You know what I'm saying? Like
yes,
Tyler Perry's name, like that man's signature, you know what that could do? Yo,
a
that could
lot,
shift things, yo. That could shift
a lot.
culture. That could shift the tremendous amount of money. That's powerful than a nine or what a Glock could do.
Absolutely. And you brought it home for me personally because I've always been my name being Karana. People
Hmm.
jack my name up all the time. They'll say it right if they're mad at me, but
Okay.
so I've always been very protective of my name because
Mm.
people they'll remember, like I said, they'll remember it when they're mad. So when you
Mm.
have that presence of mind to say my name carries this much weight, but to say I want my name to be more powerful than a gun.
Yeah. Thank you. You really read the book, like read the book.
I did.
I
I
like that.
did. I read it and I ingested it, not just read it. Because
Good.
I've read and just like, okay, let me
Yeah.
skip to the next section. Let me look at the highlights. No, this book really spoke to me.
Thank you.
I can't wait to finish second. I'll probably finish the second book tomorrow because I'm
Oh, really?
oh man, I'm not stopping. I am not stopping.
And like
And
you
then
said, it's a quick read. It's not, you're not getting lost. Not the, Google words or whatever. It's a colloquial style writing. I'm just talking to you.
yes. And you made me learn a bunch of stuff. There were people that I didn't know. I
Mm.
love how you injected, go Google them,
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, there was a couple things. Now you had one really cool incident, and please don't let me mess the man's name up. DJ somebody. You made this man skip a gig with
Oh,
some pretty important people to do your gig.
yeah,
Tell us
Clark,
about that.
DJ Clark Kent. Shout out to Clark Kent. So DJ Clark Kent signed. I don't know if did he sign Jay-Z or he had a role in signing Jay-Z and also with Biggie. So Jay-Z's always shutting him out. And there's a he had signed my contract first to open up one of my locations to be the guest of one of my Laval location. And then he called me and he's like, "Yo, Jay just called me to DJ something for him and Beyonce, but I won't be able to come up on Friday. I'll have to come up on Saturday." And I was like, "Bro, the store opening is Saturday. You can't just fly up here an hour before store opening. Like, people are going to drag me if you don't show up." So I said no. But I'm like, "Come up Friday. I'll take you out for a nice steak dinner or whatever." So he was cool. I mean, he didn't have to, but he was cool about, not letting me down. So I always shout out to Clark Kent.
It's not many people who trump J and B.
That's why you
Yeah,
got to have good contracts, people. And just be a
yeah,
good dude too, right? Like we spoke about it. I wasn't an ass about it. He wasn't an ass about it. So he was a good dude, man.
that's so incredible. I
Mm.
mean, just to like who thinks that big to open a store? Like, let me call DJ Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you had some pretty amazing openings. So tell me what Nike World is about. Like what is the world headquarters like? I can't imagine going there.
Oh my gosh, it's literally, that's why they call it the Nike campus. Like it's a campus. It's Nike World. Like you never even have to leave the campus, right? There's
Wow.
from every single exercise, football field, basketball field. I don't know if there's a golf course. There must be something for Tiger to hit somewhere, but it takes a whole day to see it, and you can never even see the whole thing. Like it's massive. And they've expanded it since I've been there, so it's a whole other level of giganticness.
Wow.
Yeah. But what's
That's
I think the most beautiful thing about it is to know that they started out the same way that I did. They started out the trunk of a car. And every business starts out with an idea and starts somewhere. So to me, that's the most amazing thing about being there, is just seeing the possibility of growth and the possibility of building, and just being an entrepreneur is limitless.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, is there anything um, new or different other than the online presence about Exclucity that you would like to see coming in the future?
Well, yeah, so a little spoiler alert, like I'm really trying to, the book opens up with me being in the entertainment industry, and I even touched on this. So right now, what I'm really focused on is getting back into the entertainment side, and that's why I started my podcast, and I have a couple other ventures, a media company. So I'm trying to, make a slow transition out of retail and sneakers, and really put my energy behind the Trent Out Loud podcast, which you can find on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. um, but yeah, I mean, just the world is open for me. I've done retail, I've done well at it. Retail is shifting right now and making huge changes. So I'm looking to move with the times and start some more business ventures.
Awesome. So will you be managing again or more broader
I
scale?
want to be the talent. I
Oh,
wanted to,
okay.
yeah. That was the thing about music, that I feel like I wasn't being true to myself, or I was managing artists, and I had to depend on an artist to, write a song, or I depend on an artist to do something, and that's what I feel like I didn't like. And I knew that it was just a gateway. Like I am the artist, I'm the creative now, so I want to build a world and a brand around Trent Out Loud.
I cannot wait. Oh my goodness. I am going to be right there. I
Thank
want I
you.
want front row access. Like,
I need support.
oh, I'm here for it. And if you need somebody with you, I can beatbox. I can. Oh man, this is so exciting. I did not see that coming. The artist. So what do you
Yeah.
do? Rap? You sing?
No, not in music, just in entertainment.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Hosting, podcasting. I'll get back into acting. I don't want to do any modeling anymore, but whether
Okay.
it be hosting, show, podcasting, entertainment is so broad now, right? You don't only just have to be
It
a
is.
singer or an actor. I wish I could rap though. That'd be so dope. I
You
tried to
got
write
the
a rap
bars.
once.
You
No,
got the bars, man. I'm just saying.
I know, but the flow just isn't there.
Hey, know thyself. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it. Well, I am here for it. And I am going to wrap by once again encouraging everybody. Oh, wrong side. Get the books.
Thank you. Thank you so
Both
much.
books. Any last words that you would like to leave my viewers with, Trent?
Just um I hate saying things that sound so repetitive and corny, but I think the reason why things are so repetitive sometimes is because it's so true, man. Just like this book, and this is what the interview was more about the book than anything else, and forget about everything else I was doing. Like, I always believed in myself, man. Like I always believed in myself. I never let anything stop me. I always stayed true to who I was. We touched on that with, with the hip hop and, all those things that like have gone up and down in my life. And yeah, don't let your circumstances be your reality. You know what I mean? Like, just, I know there's people that are probably in worse situations than I was, but don't let that ever hold you back. And, you know, don't only pick up the book because I'm trying to sell the books, but I really honestly wrote this for us. I wrote this for the hip hop kid, the hip hop guy and girl out there who's just, feeling unmotivated, feeling like, they might have a criminal record and they can't do anything, or they might feel like they don't have more than a high school education. They can't do anything. Like, I am proof. I am a living factual proof that you could come from a disadvantaged situation and not have all the opportunities and make your own opportunity. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say in this book. And hopefully that came across in this interview.
Thank you. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you summed it up perfectly. I
Yeah.
know so many people with criminal records,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that you can benefit from Trent's story, from
Yeah.
his journey, his pitfalls, as well as his successes,
Yeah.
and be better for it. I am better just because I bumped into this amazing young man.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much. I
Trent.
appreciate that. And thank you for really reading the book and taking the time to like digest it. And I'm happy that it moved you. So that's what's important. So I appreciate
Yes.
you. Thank you very
Y'all,
much.
the mother, listen, mothers, you're going to see your sons if you have sons.
Yeah,
Woo.
exactly. Exactly.
I have 3 sons,
Oh,
and oh
really?
gosh, yes, yes, yes. And believe me, every one of them could have been one of your partners. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. Well, make sure
and
you
then,
get them the book and hopefully they can feel inspired.
yes, for sure. All right.
Definitely.
Well,
All right.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up by saying stay popping.
Peace. Stay popping.